Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Honest Interview series, where we spotlight outstanding individuals making a difference in their communities. Tonight, we have a special guest with us. I got to know during the IVLP program, Roscoe Williams. Roscoe, welcome to this online space somewhere between Albania and South Africa.
Thank you for having me. It's amazing to be here.
Thank you very much. I'd like to start with the most obvious question. I have noticed promoting and enabling more children to read is a mission for you, one book at a time. Now, what inspired the founding of Read to Rise and how did it start?
So back in middle of 2013, we were working. Along with my brother and his wife Taryn, we had a different organization working in the schools. With engaging with the teachers and principals, we discovered that literacy is a huge issue. And one of the main reasons for that is children don't have access to books. You know, obviously, I'm not sure if you were aware that books are quite expensive here, and we wanted to give them local author books. We went to various bookstores and we saw, look, it's quite expensive. It's obviously going to be quite a bit in order to provide books to the thousands of children that we serve. Ethel then came up with decided to write his own children's series, and he has come up with this character named Oki the Acorn. So all our books in the series is about this acorn, and he goes through different things in life, similar to what we go through, with inspiring stories in it. And I remember imprinting just a handful of these books, and we went to one school. We were going to try this out in the school, and I remember us being very nervous, driving to the school, deciding who's going to do what in the class, who's going to present the poster, and who's going to read. And I said, no, I'll take the photos and I will carry the boxes. You know, and the Ethel and Taryn did the whole program there, and to see the reaction of those children's faces after receiving those brand new books, it was a priceless moment. And for many of those children, it's the first time they've ever owned a book. You know, so even when you on the first page it says there this book belongs to, and you tell the child, please write your name and your surname. It's a powerful statement, and it's a moment because children are taught not to write in books, so they're so hesitant. They say no, and that is your book to keep. To see the reaction on their faces when leaving that school, we went to just go home and reflect, and we spoke about that experience, and we said, look, this is what we want to do for our community. And that is where this Read to Rise was born. We started off small. We had to build up the relationship with all those schools, and it took a while. Being a new organization, and bringing something new and for free to the school. People are always weary. What is the catch behind this?
Question.
So it took us a while. Yeah, they will question, and it took us a while. And there's 47 primary schools in the Mitchells Plain area. And, over time, we said our goal is to be able to serve all the primary schools there. That was our goal. And I think about 5 to 6 years ago, we eventually reached that goal. We were able to service every primary school in Mitchells Plain. And ever since then, we've been visiting those schools every year. We go into those schools. There's 8,000 grade 2s, 8,000 grade 3s in Mitchells Plain that have received books ever since we have, engaged with those schools. And to think that there are now books in homes there, those children have now received these books. And that is where this Read to Rise was established.
Well, they have books in their homes, and I'd say they have ideas and sparks in their minds as to, where this can lead. And, you could have future writers and you could have people that are inspired by this, because it's something that really does, by default, bring ideas. I get the impression, because of what you said about your brother and yourself, that there must have been books, or you must have read much as a child. How has that helped you in the process of relating to kids when you go out to schools and, talk about books?
We grew up in a home with those books, along with my siblings and my parents. There was always books available. There was always newspaper available. So we grew up in a home there, so it's not that or me personally, would find me sitting there in the corner reading one of these thick novels. Like even now, I enjoy reading short stories, but at least the fact that you're reading. So that is how we were, because we always saw my parents were reading, and that encouraged us to read. And I think that works. If you're in an environment where people are reading, and it will eventually rub off on whoever's around you. And that is why whatever we've learned, we try and implement, in the schools, because all our programs, we first try it out. We try it out. I also got two daughters, so we practice with them and we see the actions, and so we first tried it and then we implement it. So we truly know that, reading helped me as a child, it helped. It's definitely helping me as an adult. So we know the advantages of this reading. Yeah.
And of course, as years pass, the world has become increasingly visual, and we may have forgotten to read past one, simple Instagram or Facebook or some social media posts. And I think it's important to highlight, why is reading important? And by reading, I don't mean scrolling, and I don't really skipping. I mean proper content. I mean books. I mean, serious reading.
Yeah. So look, when we go into our schools, the grade twos, the first question I asked them, why is reading important? Because when we go there, before we even read our story, we have an engagement, we're having a conversation with them, because that is where we're going to get these children to think, and you will, yeah. And these are answers they will tell you, it's going to help you with your schoolwork, and help you pass, help you get a job. And these are all real stories that helps you to communicate. And these are real facts, so it's important that we get these children to think, because I know when we leave, they sit and they think, and that is where the change comes. That's where it comes. And I think that because we continuously go back to the school and we discuss it again, it's top of mind for them. They go on, and we know there's lots of children struggling, but we are there to support and we encourage. Because a part of our program is we make it fun and it's exciting. So that is what it is. Because reading is always associated with boring and sit there. But that's what we try to do through these stories, and our entire program is fun and it's exciting, and we just want to show that reading is fun.
I'm actually very grateful there are people like you out there that make an effort to highlight this fun part and this very important part of reading, especially as you were mentioning. You mentioned Mitchell's Plain and you described the neighborhood a bit, and definitely not a very easy context or community, especially for the kids. What is it like, and how does reading fit in it? What ways have you found that work with the kids, despite all the other problems that you mentioned?
So Mitchell's Plain is a very challenging community. They're faced with loads of problems. If we talk about the positive things of reading, and that's part that we are encouraging, and it's important for children to dream, and that's what we are going there. We dream, we talk about it, we all have dreams. What do we need in order to achieve that dream? And that is where reading fits in with everything. That is the basic that we need. So I know that those children are faced with all the bad things out there, and all I can do is assist those teachers and encourage those kids and be there for the time that we are there to assist these kids. If you are able to save one child, then it's great, and it's a major task, helping 16,000 kids every year. And the problem's far bigger than that, and if you look in the surroundings, the community, and I often tell them, this should be an encouragement to actually just better yourself, and try and just, because, if they get the education, they are able to save their family, they get a good education, they save their family. And this is the things that we encourage with all these children we engage with.
It must be great, thinking that you've been doing this for over 10 years now, and some of the kids you initially visited during your first visit are now probably university students, or they're working and they have the chance to perhaps do this with their kids,
Yeah.
if they have created a family. So I can really not think of a better impact or better legacy when it comes to the return on the work that you do and the efforts that you put in. But I guess it's not easy, especially with technology gaining ground by the day. How do you view this relationship between reading and technology? And what do you think has mostly affected our reading habits? And I don't just mean the kids. Now I'm reflecting also as an adult, parents to those kids as well.
So yeah, I mean, there's no stopping technology. It's coming, and it's advancing so fast. But a lot of these schools don't have access to
Yes.
whether it's computers or phones. So yes, we want our kids to be exposed to this. A lot of people will tell us, why don't you give the kids tablets? They can read on the tablet. But there's nothing better than a book. Because there's many lessons when receiving that book. I mean, it's a matter of the responsibility. It's the looking after it. So our program is more than just reading. When you go there and you give them that book, and that's what we're trying to show. Technology, it is there, and yes, we can read the stories on the various devices. There's no stopping that if children and people are by the means. But we can't forget about the ones who are not able to access this. Where many of or some of the schools don't have good reading material. So we're actually assisting these schools also by now the entire class has a book. The class can have a shared reading session because everybody has a book. Sometimes they have only a handful of books, or it's photocopied books. Now we are doing this, and I think that books it's a very important thing. These children, they carry those books in their bag. I'm sure you stop those kids there. They take out the Oki book, and they've received it a year or two ago from us. But that is what they are taught to treasure these books. Yeah.
As you said, it's much more than owning the book. And as you were talking, I was imagining I was a kid in one of those schools in Mitchell's Plain, and bigger problems, but still. The fact that you're included, you're part of the bigger group, the fact that you have a book, the fact that somebody has thought about you and, they've prepared this, and especially with a tailor-made book, like an author has sat down, has thought of the story, and then the lady has illustrated it and making sure that it resonates with the local context. That's just brilliant. I mean, that's really, I don't know, it's priceless. You recently were part of the IVLP program where we met on volunteerism and civic action. And I was fascinated by your story because I heard a person called the US Embassy in South Africa anonymously. Am I right?
So what actually happened was it was somebody that actually works at the embassy that nominated someone. But when the person had obviously reached out to me via the embassy, they sent an email. They had said it's an anonymous email or an anonymous person that nominated me. So I eventually did find out who the person was that nominated me, because when I went for my interview at the embassy, I then had the opportunity to meet Amina, the lady, and I asked her, how did you find out about me? And she said one day she was driving and she heard me on the radio, and she heard about this organization, and she presented my name, the organization, and they asked, am I happy to be nominated? And I, in the beginning, you're skeptical because, there's all these scams that's happening. So, you get an email, is this real? And I'm like, okay, fine. And and I think it was like late last year, they contacted me saying, you have been chosen to be a part of this program. And it was mind blowing because, for 10.5 years, you do this work, not with the expectation of getting anything. You do this for the love of the children. And it's things like this that's very rewarding because, people have seen what you do. and they've acknowledged and they've rewarded me to partake in an amazing program. That has really been rewarding. We've received awards over time, but I think this has been an amazing highlight for me and the organization to being chosen to go apart and go to the States.
I surely hope that this interview will make its way to Amina, and I would like to express my thanks and gratitude to her for having nominated you on behalf of the group, because we were also very lucky to have crossed paths and learn about what you do. And to be honest, this is one of the reasons I decided to set up this simple interviews with people I got to meet during this experience, because I think these are stories worth sharing. And these are stories that definitely inspire beyond the boundaries of just Mitchell's Plain community or, South Africa, depending on what the coverage of the media has been. So, Amina, thank you very much. I think it was a spot on nomination. Now, what was IVLP like? You mentioned a bit, it was great, but how can it help you further the work that you're doing as part of Breed to Rise?
So that 5 year period was for me really like life changing. Before going there, you don't know what to expect. I read a lot up on the program. You did the research on the different places, but that couldn't fully prepare you for what to expect on that side. On I mean I had a bad traveling experience there. We went on our tour on the Sunday, and sitting. I remember our Monday, our first meeting there at the Power of International Education meeting, everybody there, you sit around that table. At first I did feel intimidated, introducing everybody. And, everybody's new, and you go there. And I remember, that the Monday, you just sit there in your room and you think that, I've been chosen to be here for a reason, and I think that all of us have been chosen there for a reason and play a very important part in society for this. And what I've learned there is there are ordinary people doing amazing things. And sometimes we always wait for other people to do things. We always expect those people to do those things, where change starts with us. And to come there and listen to everybody, because that was my aim also. The program was amazing. Meeting all those people were amazing. But everybody, including yourself, was also amazing. So that's why I took the time to engage with everybody, and that for me was priceless. Going there as strangers and leaving there as friends, which is amazing, for me, because it was sad when you left there, So since coming back, and I've shared my experience with these children, and some of them have seen the article in the paper, so now they ask you questions about this, and explain to them that this was the reward for the work that I do. And also we can also use this to encourage children to be great leaders, because this is what we need, and a part of this is we have to encourage these kids to do good, and where the volunteerism part came in is where I engage with them and I say, we can do good in our community. It can be a simple thing, whether you're carrying a bag or you sweep the pavement or do something, something simple. And I think this builds character, where people have to take ownership of things. And it's hard to change adults. It's hard to change, them. But what we can do is we can go to those young children and encourage them to be those great leaders. And that is why we go and we encourage, to do good. And through these stories of OK, that has those messages in there to build these kids up, and that's why I say it's going to take a while, but that's where we're going to get our good leaders from. It's by sharing positive stories and share our life lessons and the people we met. And it's amazing because, now these kids get to ask questions, about the experience. And now they also want to, when a child tell you, hey, sir, I want to be just like you, then you think that's like a kick for you to think, you know what I mean? But it's like, if you talk about impact, and it's been amazing. Yeah.
I wouldn't change a thing to your description about the program. And the only wish I have for the kids that you work with is may IVLP happen to them, and may they become the people who actually get to get rewarded for what they do and to meet other like-minded people in the future like we did. Now, how can individuals or organizations get involved in supporting Read to Rise? Are there opportunities for volunteering, for donations, or partnerships? We could perhaps explain a few and see if um, people out there may want to get involved.
So we often have volunteers join us in our schools. They'll join us in our program. We get to read to the children, and just to be a part of our program. So people are welcome to reach out to us on our social media. And a lot of times we have corporates that also join us, to come out. And I think, any NGO is, with regards to funding, it's a big issue in order to raise funds. And a lot of times we invite corporates to come there even before we discuss funding, because once you experience the program, you see the impact. It makes it easy when we do discuss the funding. And we would appreciate any help from any organizations or funders. It costs as little as 50 Rand. That is $2.50. I'm just trying to convert to dollars, $2.50. You can sponsor a child with a brand new book. It's
Very affordable.
It's affordable, and it's priceless, to give that child that book. And we open to any partnerships if there's anyone who'd like to engage with us. And we're active on all the social media platforms. We got a website. We would appreciate any help.
For anyone interested or any organizations, I've pasted the link to the website in the video, and you can, of course, visit it. And there is so much information about what is offered, what happens there, the activities organized, the guests they have. And I think it's a great opportunity to make some impact and to help people like yourself, continue with this work. I'd have a question about, you said the books are, illustrated. Do you provide opportunities to kids to create their own stories or illustrations inspired by the books that they read? Is this part of the program?
Not part directly, but I know our program have definitely inspired children to write, because we got a very good relationship with teachers, so, if a child writes a story, the teacher will send it to me or, send a picture. Just tomorrow, we invited to a school, we celebrated World Book Day on Wednesday. So the school has invited us because the whole theme is about Read to Rise, so if you talk about impact, we are talking exactly about this. And a part of that, encouraging children to read, we've also started the Cape Flats Book Festival. It's a book festival, first of its kind. We started in 2019 in Mitchells Plain area, where, just to give you some context, these festivals always happen in the elite areas, and often when you go to these festivals, the tickets to go and see the authors are quite expensive. And because Ethel is a known author, we often used to go to these types of festivals. And in 2019, Ethel, with these outrageous ideas, he said, "Can't we have our own festival in Mitchells Plain?" I said, "How's that going to work?" And he said, "Let's just try this festival." And I remember we having it at one school at West End English School Hall. We had over 50 different authors over that weekend, and our event was free. Our whole aim was, if you want to encourage children to read, we have to expose them to these types of events. And I mean, we had over 2,000 people attend that event. Those people that came to Mitchells Plain that has never been in Mitchells Plain in their life, but they came there to support this event. And at the event, we have authors, there's children authors, we have illustrators, we have workshops. So when children do write stories, we then invite them to that event. And we say that is where you get the opportunity to now ask the questions, and there are these people to then guide those kids and advise them the way forward. So that is part of our festival that we have. And when we do have these kids engage and reach out to us, that is our referral to say, look, come to this festival, and it's there for the community.
I'm truly impressed because, again, as you said, it's not just about the books. It's about daring, to do something and to prove that it can be done in an inclusive way, most importantly. Now, can you share any examples of how reading has sparked creativity or imaginative thinking in the children you work with? You mentioned the illustrations and the stories, but now, I mean, it's been 10 years that you've been working on creating a nation of inspired readers. Have there been any cases that you know of that have really taken this very seriously to the next step, like writing for themselves or doing something based on these habits?
We've have known authors that come from primary schools that are there that have been on our at our festival. So when you have a child at that festival telling you once upon a time they also were part of the Read to Rise program. They've now written a book. That is a part of that impact that you talk about. And we have numerous cases of parents that reach out to us, send you a message or email talking about how you've sparked this love for reading in my child, and it brings a different side to those children. Because remember, if we're giving out 300,000 books to children, that is not just 300 children. That is 300,000 homes. That child goes to a home. There's now the family, that brother. It gives that family the opportunity to now sit and now we read. So that is when that family, and I think, wow, I see a different side to my child, because maybe many parents don't get the time to actually sit with them. And now when a child is reading, so we get a lot of those types of information. Parents send videos and what about the ones that don't reach out to us? There's ones that sit there and see the impact, but keep it to themselves.
Yes.
So we know it works, and we see the value in what we do.
And just as a reminder, I think it's important that we highlight how does engaging in regular reading habits at a young age influence the development of imagination and creativity in children, and what ways can parents use, or even educators, teachers, to encourage and nurture more imaginative thinking through the books. I mean, of course, in addition to cooperating with Read to Rise and hosting events like these, but are there any daily habits or activities they can make part of the routine, be it at home or in the school?
Besides our books, because our books is very awesome with regards to imagination, because the story is quite powerful. So a lot of parents that do reach out to me to say, how do I encourage my child to read? And what I often say is, we first find out what are your child's likes or what are their hobbies. So we get that book, whether you like soccer, get the books about soccer, but it's also for the parent to engage with that child. You see, it's going to be hard if you're going to just tell the child, sit there and read without your participation. Mm-hmm. So even with my own kids, and they are in the habit of reading, but if they read, they come and tell you about the story. So that also helps you with the comprehension. So unfortunately, you're going to have to get involved with that child. You can't just put him in that corner and expect him to then read and master it on its own. We have to engage with him and ask the questions and participate. Because, at the back of the Oki books, there's also a whole list of questions. The book has been designed in a way to really, really assist that child, so, and that works. Ask the questions about the story, read to the little child, read to you, you read to them, and make it a discussion, because that helps them to think, and when you have these stories with these life lessons and models, that's cool, because it get that child to sit and ponder and think about life and things. Yeah.
Roscoe, what does the future of reading look like in your view?
Oh, challenging, eh? It's my wishes would be better. The just shocking result they gave just last year, where they were saying 82% of grade 4 children can't read with comprehension. If you look at that shocking statistic, my wish is to, to be able to service more children. That is my wish. There are a lot of organizations working in the school, small literacy organizations, and and funding is always the issue. And that's my wish is for, if all these organizations were able to get help, then you were able to then to improve your program, have a bigger team, be more active in those schools, because we know the consistency, it works. And that's my wish. Definitely, Reader is not going anywhere, but it's definitely going to be a hard challenge. But we're going to continue and persevere through.
I mean, without wanting to state the obvious, but I guess we all know that it all starts with literacy, and that we can't talk about professionals and designers and, people who invent technology and doctors and teachers and all of the professions that we rely on. We cannot have that without literacy, and we cannot have that without kids, children that do develop a healthy relationship with knowledge and with books. So I'd like to bring that to the attention of everyone watching, and also to invite them to support the organization through any of the programs that you offer on the website. And as a last question, I kept it for last because I would like to close on a positive note. What is the favorite part about what you do? You described the look in the eyes of the kids that received their first books, but now it's been 10 years, and I'm sure there must be a few elements that you single out and treasure as your favorite moments about what you do.
I always say, it's about that hope. You're going in there, sharing that hope, that that book I'm giving you there, I'm giving you my best, with the hope that you're able to grasp that story, read it, and hopefully that sparks something inside of you to want to go back and get more books and read, educate yourself. Because we know that education is going to save you from all these problems that we have there, and that's all that drives me, going to those kids and sharing that, no matter what they're going through, when we leave there, that child is smiling, and that smile on that face, that, it's a priceless moment.
Absolutely, and as you describe, I'm picturing some of those faces, and I couldn't agree more on the fact that when we talk about impact, it's actually these emotions that really motivate you. And I would like to also thank the founders as well. And I hope that they get to watch this interview. And no, I'm really I was really touched, and I think it's great that there are people out there that work selflessly on improving lives and habits from a very early age, and they do it with such patience on a daily basis and such perseverance that it's truly touching. Thank you very much, Roscoe. I hope we will get to meet again. I don't know when, and I hope it will be soon. And I hope that there will be more organizations, and there will be more companies or individuals who will see value in what you do and will decide to support you.
Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you very much. Until next time. Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.